Hey, Pastor Steve here, and I believe that I have a word from the Lord for you today, and that word is wisdom. Did you know that God provides us wisdom to be able to make wise decisions? That's right. A lot of times what will happen is that we go on our own wisdom, or else we try and use the wisdom of the world to make our own decisions, and yet that does not work out well at all. One of the things that I found today during my Bible study was that James, in his letter to us, actually helps us to make these decisions. Throughout the entire course of this letter, James spends a lot of time talking about wisdom, if you can imagine that. And it's not just wisdom as something to be smart about, it's actually wisdom to be able to make wise and right decisions. Check out some of these scriptures, they're actually quite neat. In the 3rd chapter, we see that he starts out with, if you are wise and understand God's ways, prove it by living an honorable life, doing good works with the humility that comes from wisdom. In other words, he wants us to make right choices. He wants us to make these choices that actually line up with what God has in store for us. You know, the exact opposite of that is actually true as well. You know, the wisdom that comes from the world will actually take us in another direction. But if you are bitterly jealous, there is selfish ambition in your heart. Don't cover up the truth with boasting and lying. For jealousy and selfishness are not God's kind of wisdom. Such things are earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. These decisions that we make, these wrong choices that we make, can actually interfere with our ability to be able to not only do what God called us to do, but also in our lives in general. We can make bad decisions or we can make right decisions. We can follow along with the wisdom that God provides, or else we can use the wisdom that the world provides. It's very simple. God wants us to make these right choices. Check out the 17th verse. But the wisdom from above is first of all pure. It is also peace-loving, gentle at all times, and willing to yield to others. It's full of mercy and good deeds. It shows no favoritism and is always sincere. If we look at this closely, we can see that it tells us how to make these wise decisions. So if you're sitting there and constantly wondering, what type of decision do I need to make? Why can't you ask God to help you with that? You can ask God to help you to make this wise decision. You know, James started the whole thing off in the 1st chapter with this. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. So, you know, if we go to God and we say, Lord, I want to understand more about what it is that you want me to do, whether it's a decision about buying a car, doing his will, working in a ministry that you're thinking about, the jobs or the people that you want to date or go out with, these are all things that we want to look at, and these are all things where we can make wise decisions rather than poor decisions. You know, 2 verses later, we see that he tells us this, but when you ask him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as the waves of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Does that sound like some of the decisions that we have to make lately? Are you like a wind, or like a wave that's blown around by the wind? You know, it doesn't know which way it's going. It's always going left or right. It always seems like it's the wrong decision. Why not have peace about the entire thing and just ask God to help you make these important decisions? And maybe some of the not so important ones as well. Look, based on these things, this is the word that I believe that the Lord's given to me for you today. Faith is wonderful, but what is your faith in? Ask for wisdom. You need to believe what you need most. Call on me for that wisdom that you need when you need it. I will surely provide you with all that I have. You know, this promise is for every single one of us. We can go out and we can say, I have faith to believe for such and such. And when I have that faith to believe for something that God doesn't want for me, how good is that faith actually going to work for me? Wouldn't it be better to have faith to believe for the things that God actually wants for me? When I do that, guess what's happening? I'm actually receiving the desires of God's heart rather than my own. You know, when we see that, we start prospering, we start having a good time, we start enjoying the joy of the Lord. These are all available for us. Look, if you want more, feel free to check out our webpage at awfg.today. You can also go to our YouTube channel and check out all of our other videos. You can even subscribe there and get some of that. Why not share this on Facebook? Have an impact on somebody else's life as well. Well, God bless you, and I hope to hear from each and every one of you.